Welcome to another episode of
I'm Just Not That Into Games.
I'm Just Not That Into Games.
With Andrew Saul and me, Sam Gillespie.
Sam, what am I going to be playing this week?
Alright, so this week I thought I would give you a more action-oriented experience with one of my favorite games ever, Binding of Isaac.
My God, I should have. You know what? I knew.
You
I
knew?
knew this was.
You knew this was coming? Why?
No, deep down in my waters, mate, I could feel this coming. No, okay, go.
Oh, no. What, how did you know it was such things were coming?
Because we've known we have known each other for a while, haven't we? Sam?
A little while.
A little while.
A day
a little
or so.
while. And I have heard a lot about Binding of Isaac without really knowing what it is.
Allow me to elucidate.
Yes.
Alright, so, in Binding of Isaac, you play as a small boy trying to escape the murderous rampage of his mother. I can see you shaking your head already. This is going to be a long podcast for you, isn't it?
Maybe.
Your goal is to traverse a dungeon of horrifying creatures to get to the final floor where you'll fight your mother. Your only weapon is your tears, which you shoot out at the enemies around you. If you die, you'll have to start from the beginning. Each of the levels is randomly generated each time, meaning that subsequent playthroughs feel different each time. On each floor, there is a randomly selected item that can help you in the game, and a boss fight that you'll need to overcome to get to the next floor. The game has hundreds of different items, and a lot of attention was paid in the development of the game as to how these different items interact. For example, if you have an item that makes your tears bounce off a wall, and an item that turns your tears into lasers, you can fill a room with endlessly bouncing lasers. There's potential in this game for some absolutely broken combos. However, most of the items don't make it fully clear what they do, meaning that you'll need to experiment to find out how it works. The game controls with a top-down view, and you navigate around and try to dodge enemies while attacking them at the same time. This game is quite hard at first, but most of the enemies are fair since they telegraph their attacks. You can, move around and dodge and avoid them. So if you're quite good at the game, you can almost always avoid all of their attacks. In my opinion, this game is really good because while there is a large amount of luck in what items you get on each run, you can still win the game with a terrible set of items, which is sort of an achievement in itself. There's also a whole bunch of hidden stuff in the game as well, which I won't spoil for you at this point. And when you do play the game, I would recommend playing the Rebirth Edition. It's like a remake that was done a little bit better than the original version.
Okay. This really sounds like... would it be fair to say this is a gamer's game?
Yes.
Okay, right. You know I'm just not that into games, right?
Really?
Yeah, no. I hate to telegraph... Just like the enemies telegraph their attacks,
exactly, exactly. There you go.
I hate to telegraph my own attack.
Yep.
But I really feel like this is going to be a grind.
I should have probably dodged that attack then. Did you enjoy the scatological experience that was Binding of Isaac?
Strap yourself in, kids.
This is gonna be a good one. I'm getting prepared.
Okay, let's start how I got on in the game, right? So it took me an hour to pass the first basement, and it took me nearly an hour, nearly 60 minutes to work out how to open chests.
60 minutes. You know that you just walk up and you touch the chests to open the chests?
Do now.
Did you not think to try that?
No, I did, but you have to run at the chest a little bit.
No, you don't. You just touch the chest and it opens.
You don't have to. No,
you do, man. I played this game enough.
That is blatantly incorrect because I was touching the shit out of the chest. I was touching them.
Was it a locked chest?
Yes.
Well, there you go. You didn't have a key.
No, I didn't have a key. No, but it's still, man, look.
I mean,
even
this is basic. Have you navigated home?
I didn't open one chest for 60 minutes. Now, you can't tell me they're all locked. They weren't all locked.
No, they weren't all locked because you probably weren't touching them properly.
No, yeah, exactly. It wasn't. There you go. And there we have the thing, okay? I ended up having to Google the controls for this game because I couldn't find them anywhere in the actual menu, and the game didn't give me any tutorial on how to play it. It's such a simple game. And I had no idea how to play it.
You do realize that when you start the game, the opening room has the little pictures that show you the keys.
and they were no help. What
more did you need to know?
Obviously how to open chests. This was so frustrating. Anyway, so I only made it out of the first basement and into the second basement twice. That means I only defeated 2 bosses.
Yep.
And I found the bosses to be really up and down as goes difficulty, right? There were some bosses who I found almost impossible from the get-go, and then others I would do really well against, right? But most of them I found almost impossible.
Right.
Okay? Now, I have mixed feelings about the random generation in this game.
Yep.
On one hand, it makes it really difficult to progress in the game. I might just work out how to beat a level and die, only I had that level never come back again because of this damn random generation.
Right.
Now, I found Hotline Miami to be really hard, just like this. But because the levels were the same each time, I was able to get a lot further in the game. And I felt like I was getting a lot better at it because I was learning each of the levels as I did them over and over again. In this game, I'm always being made feel like I'm terrible in the game and I'm a beginner. Now, I know I've just started playing it, but I played it for like 2 hours, and it's such a simple, short game. Like, we're not talking about something that's massively complex.
Right.
Why do I still feel like a first-minute noob in like the 120th minute? Like, I'm still like, I'm a first-minute noob. I don't know what the game is, right? Now, on the other hand, I suppose the random generation stopped the game being a complete and utter grind. I mean, the random generation made it at least interesting because the levels were new each time. But that said, the random generation comes with pitfalls of not being able to stop crappy designed levels being generated. Like things that are just absolute shit and you have to eat them.
Well, can we give me an example of one of these terribly designed random levels? Because it's all the entire game's just little rooms that are randomly generated to form a pathway, right?
Yeah. So it's why I can see how the design that they thought about the design so the random generation would work. So it's not just mad, right? And it's not random generation where it's not really random generation. It's just like, well, it's going to be the same level design, but you're just going to change things around, or maybe this boss gets a little, they just sort of like run a roulette wheel and change things around, right?
Yep.
Like you get a level where I had like 3 rooms of nothing, or they just did nothing, and then something else, and it was completely boring, and then suddenly rock hard kill die, and then I'm done.
Right.
And it just wasn't fun at all. Now, as much as the levels were new each time, okay, when I'm new to a game, right, it just seems like a bad idea, and it created a bad experience for me. It feels entirely the wrong sort of time to be randomly generating things when you're first playing a game, at least to this extent.
Right, so you'd like to see some sort of like deterministic version of the game that you could play a few times to get a bit more familiar with it?
Yeah, so that I just wouldn't be punished. I was just punished the entire time. Like, it was non-stop punishment. Non-stop punishment, like, you don't understand this and you're dead. And you don't understand this and you're dead.
Did you know why you died each time?
Well, I knew because I got hit by the things.
Right.
I knew that there was things hitting me, right? But then sometimes I didn't understand properly about what things were dangerous and what weren't. I mean, that probably cleared up within like 20, 30, 40 minutes, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I want to dump on this game a lot more, but I think we should have a little breather and I talk about what I did like.
Oh, you liked something? That
I
seems
did.
Out of character for you.
So here we go.
Oh, I'm racing for this.
I love the cutscenes in this game.
The opening cutscene?
Hey, what?
The opening cutscene, or
all of them. The in between the level animations. I just love them. I just thought they are the greatest thing I've ever seen out of games. And I've not played a lot of games, but I've seen a lot of cutscenes and stuff. I've not seen anything better.
Right.
It's a testimony to the idea that less equals more, and the strength of a really great core idea is more than enough to create an impact. In fact, maybe it's more of an impact if you strip away the layers. And the game didn't force any of the storyline down my throat, but instead I was discovering and learning things about the story just by discovering items and playing with them in the game. So the game treated me like an adult. It didn't bother to explain much. It left up to me to be curious about what the things I was picking up were used for and how they fitted in the world. It's a real shame that I dislike playing the game so much because there is interesting stuff here.
Yep.
And that's excellent design in my eyes, and it was almost enough to make up for the grind of the gameplay. But it wasn't enough.
Wasn't enough?
It wasn't enough, man. And ultimately, I found this game too hard to keep playing. Look, I constantly found myself looking down at the timer to see how long I had left. I would think I've been playing for 20 minutes since I last looked, and instead see that I've been playing for 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
At one stage, I even took a break to read football transfer news that I'd already read before. Playing this felt like when I was back working in crappy retail and hospitality jobs. Okay?
Right.
You spend the majority of the day doing pointless and boring tasks, and then every now and then something interesting would happen with a customer, or a really hot girl would walk in, and that would give you something interesting to think about before you got back to the grind of the job. But the grind was a vast majority of what you did, and you would not have been there doing it if you had another job to go to. You just wouldn't be there, right?
So it sounds to me like all of your complaints and all of your whining was just because you weren't good enough.
No. I wasn't good at plenty of these games. You've got me to play.
But the game punished you for not being good.
But I never look. The game is just. It's not a complete pile of shit, and I know it's ironic. Like, is it ironic that I'm using the word shit and there's so much physical shit in the game?
It's apt, I think.
It's apt. There you go. It's apt. There you go. But Sam, let me ask you this question. Are you ready?
No.
Do you love this game?
Yes.
How much of this game have you played?
I have played probably over 300 hours.
Is there a chance that you have Stockholm Syndrome?
I can't say that it's not a guarantee, but considering that the game has done really well amongst a lot of people, and I've played a lot of games, and I've stopped playing a lot of games after a few hours, and when I have had Stockholm Syndrome for a game that I've burned, I really do feel it. Right now, I've stopped playing the game, right? Like, I played it for quite a while. I haven't played it in probably about maybe 6 months to a year now at this point, probably about 6 months. And I still look back at the game and go, wow, that was a really good game. I really enjoyed it. Whereas a lot of other games, like, say, Fallout 4, which I played for a bit, enjoyed it for a little bit, and then started to grade on me and started to wear me down. At the end, I was like, you know what? I hate this game. And looking back at it, I really regret the time that I spent playing it. Whereas for Binding of Isaac, I always felt like I got better at the game. And it was kind of like that idea that I could just try again and I could get a little bit better each time. I also didn't have that much difficulty getting into the game as you did, because I've played a lot more games, so I'm probably a little bit more skilled at being able to jump into it and sort of see the game for what it is.
What is the game? What is the game here? Because for me, it was just an unending shit fight that right. I felt I was angry at it. Like, I was angry at the game because of how crappy I thought it was.
Well, I memean, it's all in the eye of the beholder, right? We've all seen terrible films that other people like, and we've all liked terrible films that everyone else hated. But at the end of the day, I always found Binding of Isaac interesting because there was always something different at any rate, and each time. I mean, there's always a feeling of freshness, and once you get to the higher level of the game, and when you start getting lots of different items, the combinations aspect of those abilities are actually really interesting. Because you know how you can pick up those random items and they give you some sort of random effect. A lot of the time, there's like 2 or 3 combos together that actually create a completely new way to attack enemies or a completely new way to like navigate. And you suddenly had to like relearn everything about the game again on the fly as you suddenly were like, oh, okay, now how do I do with this? And I guess even after several hundreds of hours, I would still get a build where I'm just like, I don't know how to play this. And it was suddenly really interesting again.
Okay, describe to me how a combo works. In this kind of very simple, like just running around in these 4 directions. How does a combo work?
All right, so for instance, there might be an item that gives you homing tiers. So when you attack an enemy, the bullet will actually trend towards an enemy.
Okay.
And then you get an upgrade that changes your attack into lasers.
Okay.
And then what you do is you end up having this laser that completely shoots around the enemies and creates these massive pathways, which makes the game quite easy in that particular instance.
So you're calling that a combo?
Yes.
Why?
Okay, well, then you add in additional combos on top of that, like one that allows it that when your bullets hit a wall, it'll bounce off. And then suddenly your laser's bouncing off the wall and doing everything.
Oh, okay. So Sam, when I think of a combo, I think of I do this and this and this, and together they get me through something. Not I upgrade my laser so now it bounces off walls.
Well, okay.
So I think you're overselling the whole combo bit. It's just a different ability. It is, isn't it? And you can say if I'm right. It's okay.
I'm too proud for that.
Well, I mean, it is like if I was talking about a combo, I'm like playing a 1-on-1 fight, and when you said combos in the introduction of the game, like before I played it, I thought, okay, maybe that's something, but that's not a combo. It's just another ability. Okay, Sammy G,
Yes.
break it down for me.
Oh.
Why am I right and why am I wrong?
All right. So why you're wrong, I'll start with, because that's the one that I'm more proficient at. I really enjoyed Binding of Isaac because it was a game that, as you play it more and more, it starts to unlock additional content and just keeps adding some freshness to it. You'll never get the same game twice. You'll constantly get better at the game and you'll learn to react more on the fly. And if you're looking for a challenging game that you can sort of sink your teeth into and just feel like you're getting better at and progress in that way, it's a really excellent game for that. However, you do have a point. The early game is quite brutal, and if you're a sort of person that's a little bit like unsure of games and you want to check out something, probably not a good entry-level game because it has a very steep learning curve, and a lot of people's first experiences with it can be pretty bad, if that's their first experience with games or one of their early experiences. So you're mostly wrong, is what I'm saying. But you're only right because of who you are.
So I'm right.
No.
That's what you're saying.
No.
I'm right. So
it doesn't matter who's right or wrong.
Yeah, well,
let's
it
be
doesn't
honest.
matter.
Let's be diplomatic
it
around
doesn't.
this one out.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter. But just for argument's sake, Bejeweled is different every time.
Right. It isn't.
Well, it is because those little jewels keep changing, right?
Oh.
And they randomly fall. Tetris is different each time.
Right.
And I liked both of them.
Right. It's because it was just too different each time.
Okay.
You're scared of change. It's all right to open up to me about that.
You can't slip that in here. You can't slip in that I'm scared of change.
We're done.
No, we're not done. We're not done because
Kill it.
the podcast is called I'm Just Not That Into Games. I am doing stuff that I'm not into. You cannot label me as being scared of change. I'm the antithesis of the person who embraces change and then tells change the truth to its face.
You tell change that he needs to change.
Well, tell change what's going on, brother. Anyway. That's who I am, and it's what I believe. Hey, kids, want to stick something good in your ears?
Yes?
Yes, you do. Here comes Hawkmoon.
Cedar silence heeds the speed of dark. A savior whispers, save yourself to make your mark. A battle will rage, our history's pages forevermore will be soaked in blood. Iron fist eroded and the river runs red. See the carnal malefactor with a severed hand. Hypocritic politic, trigger happy chauvinist, sold not by the thorn. Soldiers stand and march, fall into battle. Howling dogs of war, running after you. Well, you stand in line, don't say you're alright. Cemetery ghostess hung so high, like a picturesque silhouette swinging in the breeze on the blood-red skies. The devil with the grin and the puppets on the string, laughing like a man insane with a cigarette smile. Race. The rich man draws the blood out from the poor man. just stand and march, falling two by two, howling dogs of war, running after you. Well, you stand in line, but don't say you're alright. If you wait, they'll come to take away what's there.